Alright, so I'm just out here in Lickey Hills, innit? I just wanted to come here, hold some space, and talk to you guys, innit? I want to talk about the importance of love. What is love? You get me? A lot of us see love, obviously, as just as an emotion that we all like to feel. I've done a lot of deep thoughts and pondering on this. It's an interesting one. So my perception of what love is. First of all, the way I see life, there is no such thing as separation. Like, no two things are separate in reality. What do I mean by this? Okay, so from a subjective point of view, you as an entity, a singular entity, you view out of your eyes and you see people around you, you see objects around you, they seem like separate things. For example, from a God's eye view, from a objective perspective that isn't bound by, space and time, everything is one. Everything is one thing, one energy. Everything's a thing, you get me? Everything's something. Nothing is even something. Nothing is just something that hasn't been experienced, hasn't been observed, you get me? So, nothing is just something that has no experiencer. And because everything is an experience, it doesn't exist if there's no experiencer. Everything is the same thing expressed in different ways. What is that one thing? We refer to it as consciousness. Without realizing, we refer to it as God. We refer to it as spirit, energy. It's not spooky, it's not mystical, it's just what it is. It's just what we all are, you get me? The same thing that's making a tree grow, that animate energy, that force that exists, is the same thing that is making me function, speak, grow, you get me? It's just expressed through a different vehicle, per se, you get me? For example, I am in this human body vehicle, and that tree is in the tree vehicle, different cellular structures, everything, you get me? Furthermore, love, how do we link this to love? Now, if nothing's really separate and everything's really connected, we have to think of it as this, innit? Love is the glue of the universe. Now, how do I explain this? Now, for example, boom. We have so many emotions that we feel every day. But the one emotion that we all love and relate to is love. We all love love, you get me? And why is that? Now, love is the only emotion that connects us as people, you get me? Nothing but love brings us together. Anything that derives of love brings us together. Anything that doesn't hate separation, you get me? It separates. And this concept, it runs throughout the whole of nature, the whole of every concept. Separation. So that goes for religion, that goes for race, that goes for anything that separates us. Because the only thing that actually separates us is our thoughts, our perceptions. It's illusion. Love is the truth because it brings us together. And everything is connected, like nothing's separate, everything's together. So if everything's together and love brings us together, it's an as above, so below thing, you get me? Like, it's the 7 hermetic principles of ancient Egypt, Kemet. And one of them laws is as above, so below. Everything works in the same way on every level of existence. For example, if you look at the atomic structure, it functions in the same way that the solar system functions, you get me? In the same way the solar system works. So you see electrons, protons, and neutrons. You see electrons circumnavigating the nucleus, the same way that planets circumnavigate the sun. Get it? For example, me and my dad, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things when it comes to, the way we see this existence, the way we see religion, the way we see quote unquote spirituality, you get me? Because I think everything is just spirituality. I think labeling so on, you get me? I think it's all just, spirit just means breath, you get me? It's just breath, it's just breathing, soul, life, you get me? But obviously, what am I saying? Me and my dad, when we're not talking about anything, we're just flowing. When we're not talking about anything specific to do with, different belief systems and this and that, it's just love, you get me? It's the truth, man. We already have what we need inside of us right now. Anything that's telling you to seek outside yourself for anything, it derives from illusion, you get it? because there is nothing outside of you. There actually is nothing outside of you. Everything that you are looking at, even on this level, anything you're looking at is a reflection of you. More specifically, it's light being interpreted through your retina. You get me? It's you, it's your projection. Your consciousness is projecting your reality. You get me? And the quicker we realize this, the quicker we take our own power back. So love is powerful. It's the most powerful thing, the most powerful force. Because first of all, we naturally are inclined towards love. And second, love is the only emotion or the only concept that we can turn to, and anything that derives of love, that connects us with each other, connects us with nature. It draws us closer, which is the truth. For example, you have two polarities. You have gender, male and female. We come together and we create a new thing. They come together with the opposite, create a new thing. Everything is doing that. See, electrons and protons within atoms, they are balancing out each other. You get me? Every polarity balances out with each other. You get me? And it's just trying to become one. It's just trying to become the truth. Society separates us. It puts us into boxes. It puts us into education systems, work. Do this to get that. Chase outside of yourself. You get me? Chase the experience. You're not well, let me rephrase that. This life that we're living right now, it's the experience, but you are the experiencer. But they're both the same thing. But let me put it like this so we understand. You're the experiencer of the experience. Who is the experiencer? Because it's not this. This body is the experience. You get me? You want to call it soul, you want to call it consciousness, is experiencing this body, and then it's experiencing this reality. My body is then traveling this reality so that I can retain information and interpret this reality so that this reality can actually exist in the first place. Because if I'm not here, if you're not there to experience it, nothing is there. You get me? So, and let me, and some people might not believe when I say that, but think about it like this. An experience is nothing without an experiencer. A game is nothing without a player. We collectively create this reality. And when I say we, this is not we. You see, the life force that grows everything, that pushes everything out, that's us. Yeah, everything goes in then out. So, for example, we breathe in, then breathe out. A baby's born from being pushed outwards from inside the womb, you get me? So it's like we have to look within to get something out of it, not the other way around. But it also is the other way around, just perspective. But you know what I mean? But it's also not. That's the thing about life. Everything is and isn't. Dark, light, good, bad, isn't. You get me? If something's everywhere, that means it's also nowhere. Because if something is everywhere, it's not anywhere. You get me? It's everywhere. It's not somewhere. It's nowhere. You get me? So this is the thing. Life is mad. I'm just here because I want to help people tap into the power that they already have. You get me? I want us to stop falling into these illusions, stop falling into these traps, these mind traps that people create, that you have to look like this, you have to do this to become successful. You have to be you. You get me? You're coded in the way that you were coded for a reason. No one else is coded like you. No one else is coded like me. And that's what I embrace. People see me doing things and like, how'd you do that, bro? I just be me. I just be me. Anything that I experience, I download it, I interpret it, and if it's good for me, I'll take it in and learn from it. If it's not, I let it slide. You get me? Detachment. Understanding the law of detachment is so important. We attach ourselves to things that aren't us. You get me? Obviously, same way you can say everything. I can say like everything is me. You get me? But on this level of practicality, speaking, like, so to speak, not everything's good for you. You get me? Not everything serves your purpose. A person might be in your life who doesn't serve your purpose. You get me? And you always know, your intuition always knows whether or not you should be there. and you have these thoughts that convince you to stay there, but your intuition knows you need to leave, but then your thoughts, but what if, nah, you have to actually follow that thing there. You always know what to do. It's the infinite teacher, the intuition, the inner tuition. You get it? Yeah, there's so many levels to who you are beneath the skin. You get me? You need to tap into who you are, and this is what the ancients were saying. This is what we've been taken away from. This is the knowledge that we've been taken away from, and seemingly through all these different belief systems, people believe different things, but everyone's actually believing the same thing and then buying into the same thing. Just the fact that there's someone out there that's gonna come and sweep you up and save you, but it's really you. It's you. But it's not just you, it's also me. You get me? It's all of us. We are all the same energy, as I said, experiencing itself through different bodies. You get me? Anyone disagrees with me, leave a comment. You get me? I want to hear everyone's opinions. You get me? But these are my thought processes. Creativity and infinity are one and the same. Why is that? Creativity is the infinite potential for anything. You see how you can think of anything right now? You can think of a unicorn, but you don't see it. I feel like your mind, you have the ability to tap into anything you want to manifest and push it out. You get me? That's what we're here to do, to create. We're made in the image of the creator, aren't we? So it says, you get me? So it's like we're supposed to create. That's what we're here to do. We're here to push out thoughts. Everything is pushing, you know. Everything is pushing. When you have a baby, you push the baby out. A tree pushes out. Everything is pushing out. I'm thinking of the words and I'm pushing them out. I'm expressing them. Everything is expression. You get me? Everything is expression of creativity. You get me? So creativity is infinity. That's why it's so important being a creative person. And that's what we've been taken away from. The creative aspect in us as humans, we've cast it aside. It's become more structural, logical in the sense of, you know, okay, I've got to go to work to do that and then get that. But anything that's outside of that, anything that we think, if we think of unicorns and leprechauns and that, fam, people will start saying we're crazy. You get me? There's nothing wrong with it. It's just another part of life that we're not tapping into. But when you balance the two, logic and creativity, two sides of the brain, the right side of the brain, which is meant to be the feminine side, and the left side, which is supposed to be the masculine. The right side meant to be the creative side, the left side meant to be the structural side. Yeah. Once you balance them, this is my theory, and I thought this time ago and I read it in a book. After I thought about it, I was like, no way. Listen, when you balance the two hemispheres of your brain, that's when you start to vibrate your pineal gland to how it's supposed to work, because you're balancing your thought patterns. You get me? You're using your brain right. You're not being influenced too much by the media, by society. You're thinking for yourself, and you're balancing it with sense. You get me? You're not just going crazy thinking unicorns. You're actually thinking, okay, let me use my mind creatively, but let me also ground myself. I'm in this reality right now, but I also have the reality that's in my head that I can also use to my advantage to create. You get it? The pineal gland, what is that? We talk about the third eye, innit? Everyone heard about the third eye. It's the pine. That's the pineal gland. It sits in the middle of your brain. I feel it vibrating in my head, like quite a lot. You get me? Yeah, the pineal gland, the pine. You get me? Something about pines, you know. But anyways, obviously there's Bible stories, and obviously the way that I see religion, it's like esoteric. Like there's hidden meaning beneath all of it. It's not what it seems on the surface. Astrological meanings, like that means the stars, reading stars. They say that's bad, but when you actually decipher the Bible and Quran, there's so many astrological hints and codes in there that if you actually uncover them, it leads back to knowledge of self. You get me? These books are trying to tell you about yourself, but in an allegorical way, which makes it seem like it's talking about other things. It's mad. But basically, yeah, there's a story of Jacob in the Bible. It talks about how he went to the Mount of Pineal, which is just there. It's talking about the anatomy, and he wrestled God. And regarding religion, I think it's a good step for us understanding there's more to life than what we can see with our eyes, because we can only see like 0.0035% of the light spectrum. But what I do think is it keeps you in that duality mindset of there being good and bad, devil and God, you get me? Devil is just evil, God is just good. Devil is evil with a D, God is good with another O. But how could the devil even play his part if God is almighty and powerful? It doesn't make any sense logically. And that's because I saw a quote and it said, if Tom kills Jerry, the game, the play's over, the show's over. Wake up. Now people say the pineal is the seat of the soul. Now what I think about that is mad, because listen, where were you looking out of? You're looking out of your head. There's something here, you know, like here is very, like you're looking out of here. I feel like if your soul's anywhere, it's here. Like, think about it. Why are you not looking out of that bit or that bit? Like, there's something, you're here. Like, you're not here, but like, you know what I mean? It feels like you're here, you get me? It feels like you're literally sitting here and controlling it. But metaphysically, non-physically, you get me? But yeah, I was talking about love earlier, innit? I'm just going on, man. I'm just channeling my thoughts. But yeah, man, love. Love is connection. It's the glue of the universe, man. Anything else that doesn't derive of love is illusion, and it's what holds us back from growth. You get me? Love is healing. And even the fact that love is seen as a cringy concept in our reality, it's like, of course it is. You get me? It's reality. It's very challenging. It's challenging to see truth. So much illusion. You can get caught up in anything. Music, man. Listen, when I say music is the biggest influence, fam. Music is the biggest influence to the youth. This is why I'm making it the way I make it, because it's like I want to raise the minds of people. You get me? I want to raise the minds of the youth, people, everyone in the world. You get me? I want to just tap into what we already have. Stop trying to look for something that you feel like you don't already have to try and get it. Stop trying to look for answers when you know that the only person that will answer your question is you. Another important concept, light. Like, what is light? You get me? See, the way I see this, it's a mad one, because this is the thing. I actually see that, like, when I'm walking around, I literally break down the whole of life around me. I'm breaking it all down. I feel like I'm like a supercomputer. Like, this is what I'm like day to day. It's mad. But obviously, electromagnetism, innit? That's light. You get me? Electricity and magnetism, or also known as the masculine, the feminine, the you get me? Just, they're all the same thing. Polarities, you get me? But in this term, that masculine and feminine energy manifested into electricity and magnetism together is light. Now, there's different spectrums of light, you get me? And obviously, you can search the internet right now for the electromagnetic light spectrum. Boom. Get me? Same as the pH scale. Boom. It's red to purple, the rainbow. Boom. So you get me? Red to purple, from lowest density of light to highest frequency of light. You get me? So it's like, when something's more dense, it's more consolidated, it's more together, it's more densely vibrating slower. The wave is oscillating slower, so it creates the illusion of reality. It's when we look at light, basically we densify it. Quantum physics, when we look at something, we render it into this reality. It becomes dense. I don't know why our consciousness does this, but it renders light waves. It's mad. It's proven. Search quantum physics, the wave particle duality experiment. Pretty sure it's called that. Obviously, highly vibrating light would be things, or highly vibrating waves, fast frequency, high frequency waves, fastly vibrating waves would be, you know, things that you can't see, for example, like Wi-Fi, which is, what is it called? Radio waves, which carry information, you get me? They're vibrating too high for our eyes to pick up, you get me? But it's still not even, that's like still one of the lowest frequencies of light, but it's like it's way too fast for our eyes to see, you get me? And obviously it keeps going. UV rays is quite a high frequency of light, well, to us anyways. Yeah, light, it's everything. Everything is light, waving, or more specifically, everything is waves vibrating at different frequencies, at different speeds. You get me? Mad. Now, this is how I see sound. From light, then we can talk about sound, because if everything's waves vibrating, you gotta realize that there's gonna be a production of the waves vibrating. When the waves vibrate, they cause sound. Zzz. When bees flap their wings, bzz, vibration causes sound. You get me? Sound is vibration, light is vibration. It's mechanical waves. Sound is mechanical waves. Light is electromagnetic waves. You get me? So it's like sound is the production of the vibration of waves of light. It's mad. And then there's different frequencies of light because the light vibrates at different speeds. You get me? So, listen, I learned all this just flipping. I just put pieces together myself, and I put pieces together from reading and watching YouTube videos, man. PDFs and YouTube videos done the job. But basically, yeah, what am I saying? Sound, for example. Something come together, you get me? It's a production of movement, you get me? Now let's talk about the soul. Like, what is the soul? You get me? Well, the way I put it, soul means light. S-O-L. It means the sun. Sorry, not light. The sun used to be called sol. You get me? And then you can see that because of the prefix sol. Solar system. You get me? Now, when we think about what we are, people refer to the soul as light bodies. Now, I told you guys already that everything's light. Everything is waves, electromagnetic waves vibrating, you get me? And then obviously our eyes interpret that and then create the image that we see or the sound we hear. Vibration is vibration. It's just how we pick it up and how we interpret it. For example, our eyes interpret the waves in a way that makes us see. Our ears interpret the waves in a way which makes us hear, which is the higher frequency waves, I believe. I'm getting that from my own head though. It feels like, you know, I'm not even going to say that as a fact. It feels like to me that the waves that we can't see, we can hear. And yeah, so on. And I just thought to myself, I feel like sense of touch is like the sense which is the most low vibrational. Like, it allows us to, you know, interpret matter or very densely vibrating particles which seem like solid objects and things, you know, that are physical. But, yeah, the soul. So, our light body, our soul, it's the aspect that we are, which is above this physical aspect. There's so many levels to who we are, you get me? So for example, there's the you that's in your head talking, but then there's a higher aspect of you, which is the one that's looking at you talking, and then there's the higher aspect of you that's looking at that one. You get me? You are multidimensional, but we just don't see it like that because we are so used to it. You get me? You talk to yourself in your head and you see things in your head with your third eye all the time. You can see images when you think about it, but we just act like it's nothing. You get me? That's metaphysicality. That is literally like we are something, man. So it's like, obviously, boom, we have powers. Ether, you get me? That's the ether, thought, spirit, you get me? That non-physical aspect of light, you get me? So obviously, our soul must be the aspect of light that we are, which is, I say up there, but it's just here. But it's like that observes and then chooses the thought to push out and then pushes out. You get me? And it's happening in faster time as well. It happens before any of us know it. For example, I'm talking now, but I'm thinking about talking before I do it. So I'm actually in a different reality doing it, then doing it. You get me? It's faster there, but it's slower here. The same way that when something's vibrating slower, it's happening externally. in the physical world, and when something's vibrating faster, it's happening in the, you could say, metaphysical world, or, you know, less visible world. Like, you get me? It's mad. It's mad. Our thoughts are not us. Our thoughts are, you know, it's light that's interpreted by us, and it's signals. You get me? You know, I don't even know what thoughts are, to be honest. That's how I see it, though. Life, yeah, man, it's mad. Who's to say what life is? Everything is life, though. But the only thing that's here is us. In terms of life, living beings is the only thing that's actually here. Everything else is the experience of the living beings. So don't be fooled when they're trying to tell you to look out into the sky for anything. You get me? It's right here. Everything's right here. But you have to realize that you're not just this. And you don't even really exist. It's just what you actually are that exists and experiences you, which is the experience of life. Yeah. I promise you I'm completely sober. But yeah, these are my thought processes. This is how I see life. And this is the energy that I tap into when I make music. You get me? Let's talk about chakras, actually, because we talk about chakras a lot. Now, chakras are very interesting. Chakras are very clever. It's not just some spooky wookie. It's very, very clever. So obviously, the way that I see it, we just talked about light, didn't we? If you look at the seven segments of the electromagnetic spectrum, same as the chakras, 7 levels of existence, 7 aspects of yourself. So you have the root, which is pertaining to, you know, grounding. It's like what you tolerate, your survival, how, you know, leveled you feel in your life. Your sacral, which is your creative energy and your sexual energy. Your solar plexus, which is your willpower. The inner sun, the solar, that masculine aspect. The heart, which is the connectivity, the you know, the not even necessarily just emotion, but the love, the empathy. It's probably the most important one, I feel. It's just the one that's, you know, the balance, the heart. You get me? The throat chakra, which is, you know, expression. Could be expression through talking, through just getting out what you want to get out, expressing your creativity, expressing your truth. Your pineal gland, third eye, people say it's here. Obviously, it's technically in the middle of your brain, and that is the pineal gland. It's to do with intuition. It's to do with, you know, your pineal gland is to do with your dreams. It's to do with all of that stuff. Your sense, your sixth sense. You get me? You know when you just know something, you know it metaphysically, though. You don't know it. You don't know it based on like logic. You know it. You just know. You get me? When you have all these mad mystical experiences, that's that stuff. You get me? And then you have the crown chakra, which is just meant to be the, you know, what even is it? It's just your connection to the source, your awareness, your self-awareness, the connection to everything, that truth. You get me? But both are as important as the other, crown and root. So the physical and the non-physical, just important as each other, because they both have to exist for the other. Because the same way that light has to exist for dark, you know what I mean? Nothing has to exist for something, because nothing is something. Light is dark. The paradox is real. Everything's just a paradox. Everything's a contradiction still. It's mad. But that's the beauty of life. That's why we can't figure it out, because we try to figure it out, but it's just what we are. How can you figure out what you already are? You get me? It's not about logic. It's not about reasoning. It's about being. There's thinking and there's being. Bruce Lee said, don't think, feel. You get me? It's true. Furthermore, what was I saying? Chakras, yeah. So obviously it relates to that, same with the pH scale, them aspects of light. Now, it's the endocrine system. It's just the metaphysical aspect, the energetic aspect, counterpart to the endocrine system. I think it comes from the Indus Valley. And yeah, it's a good way of thinking about yourself. I think it's very, very important. It's like, it allows you to put your different aspects of yourself into segments. You get me? So it's like, okay, so I'm feeling out of balance. I'm feeling like I don't have a lot of willpower today. My solar plexus feels a bit, you get me? It's not really strong today. So what am I going to do to fix my solar plexus chakra? I'm going to get out in the sun, eat food, exercise, and I'm going to get out there and do what I need to do. You get me? That is how to then fix your unbalanced solar plexus chakra. You get me? Chakra means a wheel. Chakra means spinning wheel. And I think chakra originated because it was like, I think it was Shiva's wheel of destruction or something like that. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that Hindu thing. But yeah, now what do I think about religion? Religion, it's all saying the same thing in different ways. And we're, as humans, stupid for arguing and getting mad about it with each other, because we're all actually trying to say the same thing, that there's an entity out there that created us and we need to serve him to get back to the will of what he wanted us to be like in the first place. Interesting one, because it's like, who wrote that? Like, you can believe what you want to believe, but like, who actually wrote that, and whose intention, what intentions behind it? You get me? You don't actually know. The way I see it, if I was on an island, washed away, I wouldn't have no book. I would have myself, and then myself is more than I could actually ever imagine. I go to sleep and I dream, and I am in a different reality just from being still inside myself. I am something more than what I'm taught I am. That's all I know. You get me? And we knew that back in the day, because if you look further back, and they tell you not to look into certain things, and as soon as you look into certain things, religion tells you not to look into certain things. As soon as you look into them, it makes more sense. Listen, the Greeks, the Greco-Romans come and they mash everything up. They took African culture, twisted it up, simple as this, twisted it up, put their spins on it, changed our deities, not deities, like archetypes, and changed it into their own gods like Zeus and all them man there. Made everything literal because they couldn't understand the feeling. It's more of a feeling thing than a thinking thing. It's more being than thinking about it and relating to it. And then they made it confusing, you get me? They made it so like, okay, there's this religion here, this religion there, and I'm going to serve this outside deity to feel a sense of relief in myself and a sense of sensation and, you know, goodness in myself. But really and truly, you shouldn't have to do that for anyone. You should be able to sit down still and feel bliss, because you are born with everything you need right inside you, as I've said. You get me? Yeah, man. I kind of just wanted to get these thoughts out. Obviously, I'm 18 this month, and it's like, I wanted to get it out when I'm 17. This is what I do. Like, I like to get things out the younger I am, because it's like, it's more impressive. You get me? And it's like, I've been thinking like this for years, man. Since I was like 16. Obviously, it's more now. Like, it's, pieces get together more and more. But I could have made a video at 16 and it would have been a banging one. You get me? Even 15, I probably could have made one. But I've just been on this. Even my whole life, I felt like very different. Had lots of different experiences, like metaphysical experiences and sleep paralysis and all these weird stuff that happened to me. I call it weird, but it's just life. But yeah, man, everything is the same thing expressed differently. That's the thing with life. Even, for example, I'm teaching lyricism right now. I'm teaching kids how to write lyrics and bars and songs. I realized that I'm giving them a structure. This is what I mean by as above, so below. I give you a structure on how to do it, but the structure remains the same. The expression of the structure changes. So you can have a different song to my mind, but you use the same way of doing it. Everything is the same thing in different ways. It's the same with life, as above, so below. It also works that way with nature. It also works that way with life. You get me? Everything else, like the one energy, the thing that exists, the consciousness, the awareness expresses itself through different things. Nature, animals, anything, you get me? Humans, trees, plants, you get me? Then things like plant medicines, psychedelics. See, like things like plant medicines, psychedelics, entheogens. Bro, what they do is just tap you into this understanding, that's it. Like, obviously, everything's a reflection of yourself, so if you were to trip out, that's just because you are not stable in yourself. These plants are here for us to download information into our beings. to help us to become self-aware, to make us realize that we are part of everything else and not separate to it. That is love. That's why a lot of people come back from experience and say, I just learned that love is the most important thing ever. Because that's what it's trying to tell you. You are me, I am you. But the quicker we realize this, the quicker we can work together and we can build and create in this life that we live, you get me? People talking about chefings and stabbings and killing. I don't understand, because it's actually stupid, bro. Like, it's not stupid on a level where I'm just saying it's stupid. It's actually stupid. It's actually dumb. And I don't care what no one says. I understand in terms of there's circumstances. You get it? I know. But it's, how are you thinking? You get me? How are you actually thinking? Where are you operating from? What chakra are you operating from? You get it? What chakra are you operating from in that case? You get me? What level of yourself are you operating from? You get me? There's one spirit, different expressions. You get me? I feel like everything is patterns, shapes, geometry. Life is art. Life is actually a game. Like, you see the way that a game works, or the way that you look at, like, I don't know, a Photoshop image, the way that something created it. It's like, that's life. But the energy that's inside us is the same energy that created it, and it is creating it, and will create it. It's like the energy, the spirit, the consciousness, through different coding, which is different frequencies of sound and light, different waves, different patterns, creates different products. Everything is like patterns, the same stuff, just arranged differently to then create a different result. So basically, everything's pushing itself out into this reality, and as it does that, it pushes itself from the non-physical into the physical, and as it dies, it goes back around into the loop. You get me? It's like, for example, some things, I can think of a thought. I can think of a box, for example, you get me? And in my head, I can see the box. It's not here yet. And as soon as I take the steps, the coding, this is the coding, the steps are the coding, you get me? Same way that a tree will grow because of its genetic coding, you get me? The steps of how I do it, how do I make this box, is the coding then in this example, as above, so below, you get me? So then I manifest it into reality, and it becomes a physical box, you get me? I vibrated it into reality, I densified the thought, you get me? I made the non-physical thought dense. It works in the same way an ice cube works, you get me? An ice cube is solid, but then when it's heated, they're the steps, the coding. It evaporates, and it becomes gas, and it goes into the, you get me, atmosphere. And it becomes the non-physical then, you get me? Or beyond the eyes. Everything works in the same way. Everything's just in a cycle, and it does it in accordance to balance. Yeah, man. Balance is love. When two things come together, fam, they balance through the force of love. For example, like, even, as males and females, we have sex, you get me? We become one, and then we create another one that also finds another one to become one. It's multiplication. But the real truth is the one. Everything's trying to achieve that one. I'm trying to say, all this is just a level of understanding that we have to kind of attain, you get me? And it's like, as soon as you attain this understanding, life becomes very different. Life becomes basically magical. You gotta protect your energy, you get me? It's raw, true, it's trueness, it's true. We're like mugs, you get me? Not mugs, but like, we're like mugs that we're filled with things, you get me? Same way we drink water and then we let it out, you get me? It's a cycle. Everything is the same thing in a different way. Get it? Even emotionally, we are filled with emotion and then we have to let it out. You know what I'm saying? It's a cycle. Everything is the same thing in a different way. Rain falls, evaporates, goes back up. Rain falls, but then it's like, then you have people like the Gnostic Christians, and they were like, but how do we get out of this cycle? That's what they were trying to say, basically. They were basically trying to say this physicality is a trap. this cycle is a trap. How do you get out? And then obviously I think the solution was to be able to understand the game. And it's like, to get out, it's not really about getting out, it's about getting in. You have to go in to get out. You have to go in to go out, you get me? Like, I know, say that when I go sleep, I go to a dream world and anything's possible there. In this world, it's like physical, everything's here and it works that way, and I can't really defy the laws, you get me, of this existence. And that's because, listen to this, I thought of this myself. I like this, well, I've basically thought of all this myself, but this one's mad. So it's like, subjectivity. Subjectivity is like a personal opinion, basically, you get me, a personal standpoint, personal perspective. If something's a subject, it's an idea. A subject is an idea. A subject means an idea. So, for example, when I go to the dream world, it's a subjective reality. No one else but me is experiencing it. You get me? An object is something that's physically there. You get me? So what objective reality is, like this 3D reality. No one can't tell me this tree's not there. They'll see it as well. You get me? So yeah, it's mad how words work. Words are literally spelling. You get me? It's mad. We just need to pay attention. Everything's already here. This is the thing. Everything's already here. You have to pay attention. You have to be aware. That's why it's called consciousness. There's nothing new under the sun. Nothing I'm saying is new information. It's been here. Everything I'm saying has been like this for eternity, or however long it is. I think eternity. I think there's no start or no end. You get me? But at the same time, there is, because it just is, and there also isn't. That's what I mean. There is and isn't. Like, there's a start in terms of like where I see the start from and where I see the end from. You get me? But someone else can see it differently. So it means there is and isn't a start and end from my perspective. You get me? Even for there to be a start and end, there has to be space around the start and end for someone to say there is a start and end. So it's like, start and end. There is no start and end. End and start are the same thing, because the start is the end of another cycle. Yeah, there is no start and end objectively, but subjectively there is a start and end. But I guess it's just attaining that universal consciousness. Christ consciousness is what they call it. Christ consciousness. When you realize you're part of everything, you get me? You are everything. And the illusion is that you are separate and you're just your own being. But in reality, you are everything. Experiencing this one experience of life. This one angle of life. Get me? Everything's just angles. I'm just seeing everything from a different angle to you. You get me? The fly, all the animals, everything is there just to experience the world and the universe from as many angles as possible. Get me? Food. On every level of existence. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. It's the Akashic Records, which is meant to be the book of life. You get me? Every piece of information is supposed to be in the Akashic Records. So it's like, yeah, man. But it's not a literal thing. It's not like an actual book, but it's like every piece of information. We are just filling up that book with every interpretation of this reality that we project ourselves as the consciousness, as the God. Yeah. Life. But yeah, man, what am I say about life, man? Like, yo, you gotta balance the thinking and feeling. Like, we're not taught how to feel properly, you get me? We have to tap into the feelings that are inside of us all day and pay attention to them, because they're there for a reason. Emotions are energy in motion, metaphysical aspects of us that trigger us to react a certain way in order for us to survive, you get me? This is why I love coming to nature. I learn a lot from nature, the stillness. Trees ain't gotta prove nothing, they just are. And that's the truth, we all just are. anything we're chasing, it's just a goal that we're setting ourselves, or we're being set. It's not actually, you know, it's, for example, if you go through a tunnel, all it's doing is leading you to a new start. The end of the tunnel is a new start to a new tunnel or a new journey. The destination is just a feeling, you get me? There isn't a destination. The truth is presence, stillness, you get me? That's why I called my first EP at 16, Present State, you get me? It's true. Be still, man, feel. You ain't gotta react to everything. Sometimes you have to respond. You ain't gotta react to everything though. And I also realize, and this is the thing as well, like, I feel like we're so sexually orientated, so involved in things like sex, money, materialism in our reality, in our society, because we think we are our body, you get me? We are in, for example, that root chakra, the red aspect, the lower light aspect, you get me? The lower self. But really and truly, if we were more conscious, self-aware, we'd realize we're not the body, we're experiencing the body. So in balance, we will, you get me? We'll do it in balance, not too much of it, you get me? Because we're not, boy, I never slip. But yeah, man. We're just trying to achieve that balance, man. But our society is so physical, masculine. I'm gonna explain what I said masculine in a second. Yeah, the masculine energy is the carrier, the mover. The feminine energy is what is the the womb, the creator. But the masculine energy moves it, carries out the will of the feminine, you get me? And it makes sense because females were here first. No matter what they tell you, females were here first. We all come from the woman. The Y chromosome is, it's a genetic, basically, modification or defect, whatever, of the X chromosome. So the X chromosome is the female, XX chromosome is female, XY chromosome is male. And if the X1 was here before the Y, if the Y came from the X chromosome, you can't get something bigger from something smaller. You can only get something smaller from something bigger. Then the woman was here first. So we actually came here as males to carry out the will, probably to just move things around and help them, and stuff like that. That's why we have the physical strength. So this physical reality is dominated physically in a masculine way, you get me, in a patriarchal society. And that's the obvious, seeing, physical, fighting, that moving stuff. But the feminine energy is less obvious, more subtle, it's more feeling, it's more intuitive, maternal, motherly, you get me? And once we learn to balance these two energies, that's how we, achieve that Christ consciousness, you get me? That level of awareness which I'm talking about, the enlightenment that we talk about. It's not a thing really to even see and achieve. It's more of a thing where, okay, now I understand, but it was already here. I'm just aware of it now, you get me? And it's an infinite thing, infinite.